Hello and welcome to Woman Power. My name is Lorna Grayling, and in studio today we have Robert B. Foster. Robert is an award-winning international speaker. He's an advocate for mental health, and he is the host of the hit podcast, Shut Up and Grind. Robert, what an honor and a privilege to have you in studio. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Robert, I absolutely adore the name of your podcast, and I must say I listen to it all the time. I shut up and grind. Like, how did you come up with this title? And tell us a little bit more about that podcast.
Well, a lot of it came from my upbringing. Like my father, he was an engineer and he was constantly just building stuff, and he never took no for an answer. Like no matter what he was trying to build, no matter what roadblocks he hit, he always found a way to get it done. Wow. And so he instilled that mentality in all of us. So when I got into the restaurant industry, that mentality kind of followed there. Like I was manager, general manager, kitchen manager, things of that nature. And that was just always the mentality. It's like, stop complaining, just work. Stop complaining, just work. You know, like focus on the task at hand. Let's get the job done. And then as I shifted into fitness, this was when Blog Talk Radio first came on the scene in like the late 2000s. And I started a show called Shut Up and Exercise, because I found when people join fitness, I don't have enough time. It's too busy. I have kids, my work schedule. It's like, it's just complain after complain after excuse after excuse. And I was like, well, if you want to get fit,
do you want the results or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so the more shows I did, I didn't want it to just be about fitness, because I found that the principles that it takes to help someone lose 20 pounds, build 10 pounds of muscle, run a faster 5K, like those principles can be applied in every facet of life. So I shifted it from Shut Up and Exercise to Shut Up and Grind.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The reason why it got my attention at first is because when I saw the title on the podcast list, and I just grinned. I thought, you know what, this is so fabulous, because literally I feel like this is what our nation and worldwide, what we need at the moment is just shut up and grind. Just do it, right? There's so, like you said, there's so many excuses. But at the end of the day, like, what do you want? Because to get there, literally, you're just gonna have to grind. You're gonna do it, right? But I mean, you're not talking, out of a place of like, high and mighty or nothing like that. You have had to grind through excruciating experiences in your life, and I feel like that is what makes this show so incredible. It's just your personal experience. But I know that you've gone through divorce, and you can tell us a little bit about, how you grinded through that. And I know that also you were jumping. Did you do long jump or high jump? Both. And doctor said that you will never jump again. And you've overcome that as well. So yeah, take us back to your struggles, why you started this podcast and what you've kind of overcame up to now.
Okay. All right. Well, I got into formal speaking in 2016, because prior to that, as a restaurant manager, kitchen manager, we're constantly doing team meetings and team trainings, new menu item rollouts. So speaking in front of people was never an issue. And even back as a teen, I was captain of my sports team, so constantly leading the warm ups, and so I was constantly leading other people. So the skill was already there. And then once I realized like you can actually truly impact a lot of people by sharing your personal experiences. But where the podcast got real, so my father got sick in 2019, and he got sick in January of 2019, and he ended up passing in November. And just through that process of just watching him go through that, it gave myself a more sense of urgency to just spread the word out, because I'm living with literally watching him wither away, and I still had to be a beat for my clients, for my personal training clients, for the kids I coach track and field with, and like trying to navigate like while I'm on the verge of losing my dad, and on the other side I have to be upbeat and peppy for this podcast I'm about to get on and talk. So it's definitely a struggle, but I want to share something that you probably don't know yet. Because from when we spoke last time, you know a bit of my backstory, but like as you said, but shut up and grind. It's about actually living it, because last year was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. Like I started the year really having no place to live. This was in January, like no place to live. Because I found myself in a situation where a business partner grossly took advantage of me, and I literally lost it all. Lost it all. Like I walked away from my gym business. Like I put the keys on the desk. I left all my equipment behind, and I just walked away.
Wow.
Like at I'm 49 now, but at 48, like I had to call my mom and be like, "Can I come home?" Because I was like, I tried to fight through it, and I tried to fight through it. Like I'll dig myself out of this hole, but I was like, you just have to swallow your pride sometimes and do what you have to do. And then it worked on the flip side too, because my mom needed help, and she
Wow.
also and she also wasn't going to ask for help. So it's almost like this event
It was
had
almost
to
meant to
happen.
be, right? It's such a perfect
Yes.
timing. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So like when I first got back here, like I didn't even realize how much help she needed until I got back here. Right. And
Wow.
so moving forward, so like I said, I lost everything, lost my house, lost my car. Well, I walked away from the business, like I literally had nothing. And it was probably maybe about a good 6 weeks where I was just kind of in a darkish place, where it's like my whole world was just flipped upside down. I'm that stereotypical 40-year-old man living in his mother's basement. It's like how am I gonna
How do you
get
get
up
back
and
from here, right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I can
Yes,
totally
exactly.
relate. You know what? I've had a similar experience where we've lost everything, huge businesses, and so much, and exactly that. People, business partners, and friends who, you think you can trust, and then the
Yep.
next thing you know, they're kind of opening the same business just down the road and taking most of your
Mhm.
clients, and just losing a
Yep.
whole lot of income overnight. And but just being at that rock bottom place. It took you 6 weeks. You can see you've got the skill. I think. For a long time. I struggled. That is not easy coming back from that. What helped you? How did you come back from that?
Believe it or not, it was actually a podcast episode that I did. So my guest on the show, she was telling me how she moved from Canada to Los Angeles to pursue something in Hollywood. And she said that she knocked on every door she could until she got a yes. And so, because my like I was sending out resumes, I was calling places, but like I didn't actually show up. So where my mom lived is close. It's only 3 miles from where I went to high school, and this was right at the beginning of outdoor track season. I said, well, let me see if they need any help coaching up there. And so the very next day after that episode, I went up to the school, spoke to my old coach. He's like, yeah, he's like, as of Monday, come on down. And now, mind you, I had no car, right? So I had bought a bike several months prior, and I said, all right, I can just bike there. It's only 3 miles, not a big deal. Because when I first left the gym, at first I wasn't gonna go back. I was gonna get more into consulting. And then I signed up for a course to teach me how to use this digital marketing software, and I could sign gyms on, and I could be like their marketing expert. And then just the more I got into the course, I was like, that's not where I belong.
Mhm.
It's like I can do it, I'm good at it, it's profitable, but it wasn't moving me. And so
Wow.
when I started coaching again, it relit the fire. And I
Mm.
was like that's where I belong, helping people who are unsure of themselves, whether it's the teenagers or the adults, because usually people are around the same starting place where they're unsure about themselves, they have doubts, don't know
Mm.
how to handle pressure, and using my skill set to help them overcome that. That's what started to relight that passion. And then again, swallowing my humble pie, the first job I was able to get was bussing tables.
Wow.
And I was like,
Mm. Mm.
again, I was a general manager for a very long time. Like I was a kitchen manager for very busy kitchens. But then I said, but right now, you're tripping all over your ego. Because
Mm.
like right now, you need to start making money, and who cares where that source comes from?
Yeah, yeah.
So I started bussing tables, and within 30 days, I got 2 raises and 2 promotions. because
Wow.
because I went in, I didn't go in with the mindset that I'm a grown man bussing tables. I went in with the mindset is I'm going to outwork everybody in here, and I'm
Wow.
going to have them notice me. So they realize this man doesn't belong bussing tables.
That is such a powerful thing that you said right there, is that you had to shift your mind to a place of, you know what, this is where I am. I need the income. Instead of feeling sorry for myself and having a victim mindset of what I've lost, right, where I were, where I'm now, is to look at where I am, what I've got, and say, right, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be noticed. Man, that is amazing. Because you know what, and I can totally relate. Again, being at a place where you were, I was the CEO of this incredible wellness center. I had a wellness center, a day spa. I had psychiatrists, doctors, hairdressers. I had a coffee shop. I had a gym. I had all these people, working with me and for me and in my center. And we lost everything, and also again had to take that rock bottom, lowest of the lowest paying jobs, and
Yep.
and it doesn't really help to sit in that mindset of
Exactly.
poor me, like look what I had, look what I've lost. The longer I was in that place, the longer it took me, because you're gonna be in that place no matter what. Like whether you feel bad about it or whether you take it and make it something spectacular, you're gonna be there. This is your reality. Right?
Exactly, right? And to continue the journey of how I got back into the gym, instead of, just like you said, instead of focusing on what I left behind and what I walked away from, I said I have to focus on what can be. So I started putting pieces together. I was going to start an outdoor boot camp because we were moving into the spring up here in New England. And so I said I'll start there. I'll start getting in some clients, because I built my last gym from nothing. I started it in the spare bedroom of my house. Right. So I was like, I already know how to do this evergreen. I said, I'll just start from nothing, start slowly acquiring equipment. But then I also believe in manifestation, and that the universe gives you, what you give it. And so now I told you I didn't have, like, I had lost my car. And so I ended up buying a moped. I actually borrowed the money from my mother, again, full transparency, because I was like, I need something with motorized wheels.
Yeah.
Right. And so I bought a moped. It was used. And so, like, you're gonna get a kick out of the story. So as I get the moped, I'm like, good, now I can get myself back to the gym and let me get myself working out again. Because like I didn't work out for probably two solid months, I'd say. So I got myself back into it physically. So now as I'm riding this moped to the gym in Wakefield, a couple towns over from here. And I go past this gym. It's called Manic Training, hence my shirt, Manic, right? And actually, you can't see it.
Oh, there we go.
Right? And so now I knew that they had a location up in East Greenwich, which is about a half an hour from here. I didn't know they had that one in Wakefield, which is much closer to where I am in Charlestown. So anyway, so I get to the gym, and I googled, Manic. I signed up for their free week. I'm like, let me see what they're all about in there.
Mm.
And so I go in, and it's very similar to my style of training, which was cool. Like the owner wasn't there that night, but I met the owner's son and his wife. So we got to talking, and I just spread the seed about collaboration.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm in the Charlestown area. I'm not that far away. I'm like, I have wheels to get here. And so the next day I went and I met the owner. I took his class. We spoke for about an hour or so. It seems philosophically we're on the same page, but you know what he said to me? He said, 2 days ago, I was just talking to my wife and said that I need help here.
Wow.
He's like, and 2 days later,
Wow.
you walk in the door. Know what happened after that conversation? My moped died.
No.
So it's almost like the whole purpose of getting that moped was to connect me with John.
Just to get there. Isn't it amazing how everything just works out well once you're having that faith, once you're putting your one foot in front of the other foot, and you just have faith, you just start believing, and you just start grinding, right? That
Yes.
I mean, there's no better word to use than just grinding, because let's be honest, I mean, when you're at that rock bottom place, it's not that easy. It's not that simple as just like, thinking, all right, no, just, shut up and grind. Your whole body wants to kind of feel sorry for yourself, right? I think it's human nature, you know?
What makes it easier is when you're okay with struggling.
Yeah.
So like the thing with me is like I've been through struggles in the past. So it's like I can deal with having to cut back on this or cut back on that. Like that wasn't a problem for me. Like when I obviously shut off cable because I lost my house. I just went through all things that I didn't need and just shut it all down. And said just focus on getting a car. It's like I had said this was in May, I think. And I had said by my birthday, which is in August, I said I will have a car. And when I tell you, I rode my bike in the pouring rain, in the blazing sun, in the freezing cold. Like I did what I had to do to get in as much money as I could. And 1 week before my birthday, I bought my car.
Wow.
But prior to that, so as I mentioned, the two locations in the gym for Manic. So the place he needed more help in was in the East Greenwich location. Now, mind you, I'm down here in Charlestown, 30 minutes away, and I have a bike. Right. So my mom had said I could use her car in the morning on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but she needed her car the rest of the week. And this message here is for the people that think everything has to be perfect before you get started. So I just took those 3 days and I went up there and literally grinded. Every available hour that I could put up there, I was cleaning, I was scrubbing the walls, I was cleaning the bathrooms, I was rearranging the equipment, cleaning the dusty shelves, reorganizing. And I just went there and put my stamp on that place. And then I started toying around with the workouts. So like Manic has kind of like set workouts that they put out. And so I went along with it at first. I observed everything. And then I started like seeing the members' habits, seeing the strengths, seeing the weaknesses, and then I started tweaking the workouts a little. And at first, some people just don't like change, so they were just like, "Oh, this guy's coming in, he's messing with our stuff and all that." And so once I bought my car, I started going up there every single day, and now I have full control of the operation. Like John had said, for this place to grow, he's like, I need to just lean into you and your experience. He's like, and I can put my ego to the side and admit that you're better at this than I am.
That is amazing. And literally you're like an angel for this business, and they're like, such provision for you, and it just came together so perfectly.
I couldn't have landed in a better situation. Like this guy is a great guy. Like the last guy, like I'm not gonna bash him, but I just knew that the possibility of butting heads was there. Like I knew it was there. But with this guy, he's got a heart of gold. Like he's almost too nice. We're like he needs my more aggressive side sometimes. When we talking about things, I'll be like, yeah. So I'm like, no, let's just get it done. If it doesn't work, then we try something else. Like it's not the end of the world because he's one that he likes everything to be comfortable before he moves forward.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, look, let's just dive in. What's the worst that'll happen? We lose a week. All right. Then
Yeah.
we'll just start over fresh until we find the combination that works.
I love that, you're talking about being comfortable. But I saw a little quote, I think it was Monday this week, where it was just saying, like, nobody ever grows in a comfort zone. Like, nothing moves forward and nothing will grow in a comfort zone. And sometimes it just takes throwing the whole boat around and just, getting out of the boat and being thrown out of the boat. Feel like you're drowning, to get out of that comfort zone and see what you're actually capable of. I just love it. I also love the fact that you, got this inspiration from your own podcast guest, just showing like how impactful people's stories are. I was speaking to another guest this morning. We did an earlier episode, and we were just talking about leaving that legacy of your story and how your story, she's an author and how, she writes, but even just telling stories on a podcast, on a YouTube, wherever it is leaving that legacy of hope. Man, Robert, you're an amazing, amazing person. You also raised 5 kids. You're a single parent who raised 5 kids. And
still raising.
They never leave your pocket, right? They might leave your home, but they never leave your pocket. Oh man. So now, I mean, your podcast is doing phenomenally. It's a hit show. It is an absolute must. I'm just gonna advise everybody to add that to your watch list or listen list. Your stories help people take their stories from a place of pain to power. How do you portray that? How do you guide them? How do you do that? And how do you help people take their stories to a place of power?
So it's about relatability. So I was actually speaking with someone, he's kind of a skeptic, but he wants to get into telling his story. I said, the first thing you have to understand is that it's not about your story. I said, it's about the relatability of your story to your audience. Right, because where a lot of people go wrong with storytelling is they talk about what happened. The power in the story is how you got through it. Like I could talk about losing everything and having to move back home, but it's the riding the bike in the rain, it's the bussing tables, it's the renting buying a rickety moped and working in the freezing cold, like doing what was needed to be done to be able to have a car again. Instead of sitting on my couch and pouting, woe is me, I lost everything. The power is in the steps to come back. Because if someone is feeling stuck, your stories can help get them unstuck.
Sure.
And by just hammering down what happened, that's not gonna do it. Like again, you mentioned earlier about the doctors telling me I would never run a jump again. And I've met people who had the same knee injury that I had. And they're saying, oh, well, I can't bend mine any further than this, and that's going to be you. I said, I'm already further than that.
Wow.
I was like, because I chose to not listen to that diagnosis. It's like I chose to take the bull by the horns. And one thing people say a lot to me, well, it's not that easy. It really is. It really is. I decided I'm getting out of this hole.
Choice, right? You made that choice. You made that decision. Like, I am gonna get out of this. So first, I feel like people have got to make a choice, and that they don't realize sometimes that they've chosen differently. They've chosen to accept their fate, or they've chosen to accept defeat emotionally, not necessarily physically, because sometimes there are certain things that you just can't change. Like if you've lost a limb or something, has happened, you can't get that back. But you can choose to not allow that circumstance to hold you back. And I think that for me is, why your story is so, so powerful. Yeah, I love that. So now, for you today, what does your day look like? And, how do you inspire people on a daily basis?
Well, right now I am super busy. So like at the gym today, I taught 4 classes. I did a PT session. I met with John, the owner, for a little bit. because I was bringing on a new trainer. So we did a little powwow with us. I hightailed it down. Actually, I went to have lunch and I hightailed it back down here so I can speak to you. Then I have to go to the high school for track practice and then back to the gym for class again.
Where's your character? Like, what a kind of grinder you really are. Because I literally phoned you like so late and I'm like, listen, do you want to do the show? We have an opening. You're like, yes. And it just shows who you are. Like, you just literally take every opportunity that comes your way and you just make it work. I love that. I love that.
And mom said to me, this is maybe 3 weeks ago.
Mm,
She's like, "Do you think you can sustain this?" And
mm,
I said, "I have no choice."
mm,
I said, I have goals. I said, I gotta get the gym up to speed. I
mm,
gotta speak when I can speak.
mm,
Said the athletes need me there.
mm,
And going back to manifestation, so I was hired to be the indoor track coach.
mm,
And I already planned when I accepted the job, I'm gonna be back for outdoor. Like,
mm.
and they hadn't offered it to me or anything. I said, I'm gonna do such a good job indoor
Yeah.
that they'll be foolish to not bring me back for outdoor because another school's going to scoop me up if they don't. And
Wonderful.
so,
Your positivity is just radiant, and it's. I want to use the phrase catchy, but I mean, I don't know if that's the right word, but it is absolutely wonderful, Robert. And we've literally run out of time. Maybe just
right.
one last bit of advice for our audience out there.
All right. So I'll share what I was speaking with the new trainer that we're bringing on board because she's trying to get some of her own personal training clients. And she keeps saying people in my circle, they're not going to want to pay this much. People aren't going to respond to my stuff and I don't have enough experience yet. And I'm like, when you're done with all the excuses, I'll show you how to keep your eye on the prize. It's like, what do you want your ultimate goal to be? Because she's in a profession now that she just doesn't love it anymore and she wants to make a transition into fitness. I said, so all of your thoughts, all of your ideas, all of your actions have to move you toward that goal. I said, standing here, wallowing in the sea of negative what ifs isn't going to move you forward one bit. I said, on these podcasts and talk shows and everything. And I tell people I tell them straight up, yes, right now, this moment, 2024, I am living with my mother and I have zero shame. Zero. It's like I don't care what society says where I should be at this stage of my life. No, I don't care if people talk down on me about it or if people don't want to hear my story because of it. Then you're just not in my path. And the people who are in your path, they will be there for you. I said, if your husband doesn't talk positively with you about your future endeavor, cut him out of the conversation. Just speak to people who are going to propel you forward. Because I had to do that with my ex when I first started doing fitness. It was constantly, well, you're doing all this work, it's not bringing in any money. You're chasing this dream and you're wasting your time and you got to focus on the family until it worked. Until we did the ribbon cutting of our 5,000 square foot facility, until we had over 200 and some odd clients and we were making multiple six figures. Then she became the believer. But in order to get to where you want to be, you have to believe before you can see it.
Oh, I love it. Robert, you're phenomenal. And thank you so much for making the time for us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And that is it from me, Lorna Grayling and Woman Power TV. If you would like to get in touch with Robert, have a look on the screen. His details will be on there. It'll also be in the show notes on the YouTube. And if you enjoy our episodes, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next week, goodbye.